Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6. If it's happening now, we're going to deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
I'm Dr. Phil. Today's guest is a heavy smoker, patron of prostitution, and has been expelled from 4 schools and counting. And he's only 16. Everyone, please welcome Holden Caulfield. Well, Holden, before we have a talk, let's take a look at your past and what has brought you here today.
Holden Caulfield has been expelled from many boarding schools.
Sleep tight, you morons! I didn't get kicked out, I left. They were all phonies, especially that damn principal. I swear he is. He really is.
He has also hired a prostitute before.
Okay, we don't need to show that, but I swear, I only talked to her, and I got scammed. I swear.
And he is a heavy smoker.
I don't know why I do it, I just kind of feel like doing it. And get these damn cameras out of my face.
To officially diagnose Holden with a mental illness, please welcome my good friends Dr. Dill and Dr. Shrill to the show.
Hello, I'm Dr. Dill, double PhD in psychology from Northwestern. This is my colleague, Dr. Shrill, with a triple PhD in psychology from Grand Canyon University.
So anyway, Holden, based on reports on you, I definitely say that you're an intriguing case. Your session with your therapist could lead to many conclusions that a lesser man would write off. However, due to Dr. Dill's and my credentials, we will attempt and succeed at diagnosing you.
Who the hell are you guys? It's not like I'm a phony or anything like that. Listen, I'm fine. I really am. I don't need phonies like you to tell me what I am and what I'm not.
No need to be alarmed, Holden. We're simply going to ask some questions based off the information that has been provided to us by the therapist you visited previously.
Let's just get this over with.
According to our notes here, we have seen that you've experienced the death of a sibling. Can you tell us about that experience, please?
Yeah, his name is Ali. He's dead now. You'd have liked him. I slept in the garage the night he died, and I broke all the goddamn windows with my fists just for the hell of it.
I'm terribly sorry, Holden. That sounds concerning. Doctors?
It is definitely a key factor in diagnosing, as it was obviously a major event in the subject's life. Mr. Caulfield, it also appears that you witnessed the death of a classmate. Can you tell me more about that?
Don't call me Mr. Caulfield. It's Holden. And it's true. Old James Castle. He jumped out the window. His teeth and blood were all over the place. He had on this turtleneck sweater I lent him.
Were there any moments in which these events affected your everyday life for it? Did they ever appear in flashbacks or cause emotional distress?
Well, that whole thing with James came back to me when I was talking to my sister Phoebe. I was having a tough time that day. Wasn't in the mood. The next day, I was walking down the streets and I had this feeling that I'd never get over to the other side of the street. I'd make believe I was talking to my brother Ali and I'd say to him, Ali, don't let me disappear. That was weird.
Okay, thank you for letting us know. How long have these symptoms lasted for? Have you ever been affected since these events occurred, or just recently?
Well, it started immediately after. I broke all the goddamn windows the night he died, remember? Sometimes I wonder.
Have you had any increased thoughts of suicide or harming yourself as a result of these events?
I guess. When I checked into a hotel in New York, I was feeling sort of lousy, depressed and all. I almost wished I was dead. Later on, I felt like committing suicide. I felt like jumping out the window. After watching a movie I wanted to get blown up by an atom bomb. I told myself, if there's ever another war, I'll just sit right the hell on top of it.
That is indeed concerning. Thank you, Holden. We've contacted some of your friends and your family and asked them to tell us a little bit about their interactions with you after the death of your brother and your classmate to get an idea of it. We would like to show them to you now.
Hello, my name is Mr. Antolini, and I was Holden's English teacher at Elkton Hills. One night, he called me up and asked to come to spend the night as he was experiencing some difficulty in his life at that time. My wife and I graciously accepted him for as long as he needed, of course. I was really concerned about him, you know? I don't have any kids, and Holden has always been real special to me. He fell asleep, and I just felt like comforting him, so I started rubbing his head because I wanted him to feel comfortable. He woke up and asked, "What the hell are you doing?" He then said, "I have to go anyway," and then he left and I never saw him again. I'm really sorry I offended you, Holden. I hope you get better, my friend.
Hey, gonna make this real quick now. Name's Holwitz. I'm a cab driver in New York. Don't really know this kid, but he came in my cab one night. He started asking me some real weird questions. Asked me about ducks. Asked me, do you know where they go during the wintertime by any chance? Weird little guy. Then he asked me, would you care to stop off and have a drink somewhere? Of course I said no. What little guy like him goes around asking questions like that? Gotta go now, boss.
Some really powerful stuff there, guys. We brought in another special guest to help out here, Holden. Please welcome Holden's little sister, Phoebe Caulfield.
Thank you for having me.
Are there any times that you can recall where Holden was exhibiting any abnormal or concerning behavior?
Yeah, for Christmas vacation, Holden was supposed to get home from Pensy on Wednesday, but he got home a few days earlier. He woke me up in the middle of the night, and he was home. When he told me he got kicked out again, I was real upset. He kept telling me how much he hated Pensy and how those guys were so phony and all. So I asked him if there was one thing that he liked in the whole world. He took a long time to answer, but he finally said, "I like Allie." And even after I kept saying Allie was dead and all, he snapped at me and yelled, "I know he's dead. Don't you think I know that? I can still like him though. Just because somebody's dead, you don't stop liking them, for God's sake. Especially if they're about 1,000 times nicer than any of the people that are alive." Then he wanted to run away one day, and I told him I want to go with him. He started yelling at me and said, "You're not going. Now shut up." And he made me cry real hard. It was almost like he hated me, and it scared me real bad. After that, we made up at the zoo, and it was good, but it was scary. Anyways, I hope you can help Holden. He means a lot to me.
We absolutely will try to help your brother, Phoebe, don't worry. The first step in getting that help, though, is defining what Holden has. And based off of what we have seen today, my colleague and I have come to a clear and definite conclusion. Holden, we are officially diagnosing you with post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is brought about by the unfortunate circumstances of having experienced, witnessed, or been confronted with a terrible event. There's a list of criteria that must be met to be diagnosed with mental disorders. For PTSD, there are 8 criterions that are defined by the American Psychiatric Association. Criterion A has to do with a stressor, such as direct exposure to death, which has been shown to be the death of Allie and James in your case. Criterion B is emotional distress, which we have classified as the episode of talking to Allie on the streets, and also to be your obsession with ducks, as you're trying to find closure on things that disappear, and that's something you have not found with the death of Allie.
Criterion C is the avoidance of trauma-related stimuli, which is met by the time you ran out of Mr. Antolini's house. You're not able to accept his concern or try to avoid feeling those emotions by leaving. Criterion D is having negative thoughts or feelings that have worsened. We found that when you talked to suicide and desire to harm yourself. Criterion E has to do with irritability or aggression, and that was evident in you punching out the windows in your garage and by talking to your sister in such a hostile way. We believe that the reason you were so hostile is because you didn't want anything to happen to another one of your siblings, which is understandable. You acted a little too aggressively for it.
Criterion F states that symptoms last for more than 1 month, and that is true as it started immediately after Allie's death, which was 3 years ago. Phil, can you not smoke during the show, please? Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Criterion G is distress or functional impairment, which is evident in your history of expulsion from the schools you have attended.
Based on our diagnosis, we're now able to recommend a treatment plan. Luckily, PTSD is treatable, and with the help of medication and therapy sections, we will be able to improve Holden's condition significantly for it. We would first like to recommend cognitive behavior therapy. CBT is a type of psychotherapy that has consistently been found to be the most effective treatment of PTSD, both in the short and long term. This therapy, you will engage in active treatment and learn skills to help you cope with your symptoms. Due to its emphasis on the traumatic effect, cognitive behavior therapy focuses on identifying, understanding, and changing thinking and behavior patterns for it.
A main component of CBT is exposure therapy. Exposure therapy is a way of dealing with the patient's fears of the trauma by exposing them to the trauma memory that they experienced in the context of a safe environment. With the support of your friends and family and the treatment that we have recommended, Dr. Dill and I are certain that you can live a normal life. We also urge you to get back into school because you have shown great potential. More than 1/3 of patients who have PTSD never fully recover, but those who will have early and ongoing social support are more likely to recover, and from the looks of it, you have plenty of that in your family and friends. So good luck, Holden.
Well, it looks like you've received great care today, and now should be able to receive the support you need. This is the end of our show today. Stay tuned for next time when we have the creator of Jelly Juice back on the show to prove us of her miracle substance and to respond to her critics.
If you take my jelly juice, you can live to be 400.
Is it a miracle cure? You believe if you had an arm cut off, you could drink this and it would grow back?
I do it.
Or an outrageous... That's just ridiculous.
That's your opinion.
No, that's scientific fact.
Some of them are dying.
Jillian says she wants me to try Jelly Juice.
All new Dr. Phil.
Just say go.
You're vertical.
I was really concerned about him, you know? I don't have any kids, and Holden has always been real special to me. He fell asleep, and I just felt like comforting him, so I started.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Are there any times that you can recall where Holden was exhibiting any abnormal or concerning behavior?
Yeah. I can't switch voices.
Well, Holden, before we have a talk, let's take a look.
Oh,